Imagine a pickup truck that doesn't just challenge sports cars a broken bar but can make them look slow. A truck with brutal acceleration, massive suspension travel, and enough attitude to turn every highway into a statement. That is the idea behind the 2026 Ram TRX. And if Ram really brings the TRX formula back for 2026, the biggest question is simply broken bar. Will this be the most insane American performance truck yet? You're watching Car TV Show, and today, we're taking a deep look at the 2026 Ram TRX, its expected design, performance, power, technology, off-road capability, interior, and what could make this truck a serious problem for Ford and Chevrolet. But stay until the end, because the most interesting part of the new TRX may not be its horsepower, it could be what Ram does with everything around that engine. The first thing you notice is the attitude. The 2026 Ram TRX is expected to keep the aggressive personality that made the TRX famous. Wide body proportions, a massive front grille, high ground clearance, flared fenders, large off-road tires, and a stance that looks ready to attack the desert. This is not supposed to look like an ordinary Ram 1500. It is supposed to look like a performance machine wearing a pickup truck body, and that difference matters, because the TRX was never built simply to carry cargo. It was built to dominate high-speed off-road driving. Now imagine that philosophy with a newer generation of technology, sharper lighting, more aerodynamic details, a more modern grille, stronger-looking bumpers, and an even more aggressive rear design. The result could be one of the most recognizable trucks on American roads. But the exterior is only the beginning, because when you hear the name TRX, there is one question that matters more than anything else: what is under the hood? Previous TRX models became famous for their supercharged V8 power. That engine turned the Ram into something completely different from a normal full-size pickup. For the 2026 model, powertrain details can vary depending on Ram's final configuration and market strategy, but the expectation is clear. Performance has to remain at the center of the TRX identity, because without serious power, the TRX simply would not be the TRX. And this is where things get interesting. Ram has a massive challenge. The American performance truck market is more competitive than ever. Ford has the F-150 Raptor, Chevrolet has the Silverado ZR2, and buyers are demanding more technology, more capability, and more performance. So Ram cannot simply build another fast truck. It needs to build something memorable. And that brings us to our first retention question. If Ram increases power but makes the truck heavier, does more horsepower actually make the TRX better? Keep that question in mind, because the answer depends heavily on the suspension. The TRX formula has always been about more than straight line speed. It is about what happens when the pavement disappears. High-speed desert runs, sand, gravel, rough trails, huge bumps, hard landings. This is where specialized suspension hardware becomes critical. A serious performance truck needs long suspension travel, strong components, excellent damping, and enough control to keep the truck stable when the road becomes unpredictable. The 2026 Ram TRX is expected to continue that performance-focused approach, and that could make it one of the most exciting off-road trucks for American buyers. But there is another side to this truck: daily driving. Because most owners are not spending every morning jumping over sand dunes. They are driving to work, going to the grocery store, taking their families out, and sometimes towing or carrying equipment. That means the new TRX needs to be more than wild. It needs to be usable. This is where modern Ram technology can make a huge difference. Inside, expect a cabin designed around large displays, connected features, premium materials, and a driver-focused layout. The center of attention will likely be the large infotainment screen. Modern Ram trucks have already pushed large-screen technology deep into the pickup segment. A future TRX can take that idea even further. Navigation, vehicle information, off-road settings, drive modes, cameras, connectivity, and performance information can all become part of the digital experience, and that leads to something many buyers overlook. A performance truck can have incredible horsepower, but if the interior feels outdated, owners will notice every single day. The TRX has to deliver excitement outside the broken bar, and comfort inside. Now let's talk about sound, because nobody buys a performance truck expecting it to be silent. The engine note is part of the experience. The throttle response is part of the experience. The feeling when the truck accelerates is part of the experience. And that emotional connection is one of the biggest reasons the TRX name became so popular. But modern performance vehicles are also facing tougher emissions and efficiency requirements. That creates a difficult engineering challenge. RAM needs to deliver the excitement people expect while adapting to changing automotive industry. And that could make the 2026 TRX especially interesting, because the question is no longer simply a broken bar. How fast can it go? The better question is a broken bar. How can RAM make it fast, capable, comfortable, and technologically advanced at the same time? That is the real battle. And now we reach the part truck buyers care about every single day: practicality. The 2026 RAM TRX is still expected to offer the usefulness people expect from a full-size pickup: a large cabin, a usable cargo bed, strong towing potential, multiple storage areas, and enough space for everyday life. But performance upgrades can create compromises. Aggressive tires can be louder, special suspension hardware can affect ride quality, more power can increase fuel consumption, and a wider body can make tight parking spaces even more annoying. So the TRX has to balance two personalities. One side wants to attack the desert, the other wants to survive Monday morning traffic. That balance is what could separate a great TRX from a merely powerful one. And now let's talk about technology. Modern American trucks have become rolling computers. The 2026 RAM TRX is expected to follow that trend. Advanced driver assistance, connected services, digital displays, multiple camera views, wireless smartphone integration, premium audio, and advanced off-road information could all play important roles. For off-road drivers, cameras can be especially useful. When the front of the truck is pointing toward a steep obstacle, visibility becomes extremely important. A good camera system can help the driver understand what is directly ahead. That means technology is not just about luxury. It can improve capability, and this is where the TRX could become more sophisticated than its predecessors. But there is one final question: how much will all of this cost? A high-performance full-size truck is never cheap. Special suspension components, high-output powertrain technology, performance tires, premium interior features, advanced electronics, all of these add cost, and RAM will have to position the TRX carefully. Too expensive via broken bar, and buyers may move toward competitors. Too conservative via broken bar, and the TRX may lose the premium performance image that makes it special. For American truck enthusiasts, the price will be one of the most important pieces of the puzzle. But there is something even more important: the competition. Ford's Raptor has built a powerful reputation in the performance truck world. Chevrolet continues pushing the Silverado into more aggressive off-road territory. And RAM has something those trucks cannot easily copy: the TRX name. It already has an identity. People know what the TRX represents: aggression, power, size, noise, and extreme off-road capability. So if RAM combines that identity with modern technology and an even more refined chassis, the 2026 TRX could become a very serious competitor. But here is the big takeaway: the future of the TRX is not simply about adding more horsepower. It is about creating a truck that feels special every time you drive it, on the highway, on a trail, in the desert, and even in the parking lot. Because the best performance vehicles create emotion before the engine even starts, and the TRX has always understood that. So, is the 2026 RAM TRX the ultimate American performance truck? If RAM delivers the right combination of power, suspension, technology, comfort, and aggressive designated broken bar, it could absolutely be one of the most exciting trucks in its class. But we still need to see the final production specifications before making definitive claims about horsepower, pricing, fuel economy, and equipment. And that is exactly why this truck is worth watching. Because the performance pickup war is not slowing down, it is getting more intense. Ford has its Raptor, Chevrolet has its ZR2, and Ram has a TRX name. The next chapter could be very interesting. So now I want to hear from you. Would you choose the 2026 Ram TRX over the Ford F-150 Raptor, or would you take the Raptor instead? Tell us your choice in the comments. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into the 2026 Ram TRX, make sure you subscribe to Car TV Show. Turn on notifications, because we'll be covering the latest American trucks, new cars, performance vehicles, and future models. This is Car TV Show, and the next generation of performance trucks is just getting started.